Hello and welcome to this webinar. My name is Sara Oulet. I'm part of customer success team at VirusTotal. And with us today, Gerardo Fernandez, security engineer at VirusTotal too. In today's webinar, we will talk about threat landscape of financial attacks. Organizations in the financial and insurance industries are and will remain a high-profile target for cyber criminals, APT groups, or hacktivists who seek to steal money, disrupt operations, destroy or intervene infrastructure. The scope of these or those attacks can target the organization itself by taking advantage of any way to access the company network and exploit a vulnerability, using supply chain attack, watering hole attacks, or DDoS attacks, etc. But also attackers can target and steal sensitive information from the end user, for example, through all kinds of phishing, which compromises the image of the organization and can lead to both loss of trust and financial losses. A cyber attack, as you know, can cause serious damage to business operations, databases, communications, which again translates into economic loss, reputational, and legal damages. What is clear is that these attacks are becoming more frequent and more sophisticated, and that preventive strategies are the most effective to avoid this kind of attacks. And this is where VirusTotal comes in. VirusTotal is the world's largest threat observatory. Over the last 17 years, we have processed more than 2 million files per day across 232 countries. But not only files, VirusTotal will find all kinds of threat observables, URLs, domains, and IP addresses. VirusTotal also leverages the ongoing contribution of its user community to provide relevant context. We use this crowdsourced intelligence to analyze relevant data, share an understanding on how attacks unfold, and help inform how they are evolving. Hence, VT provides a valuable picture of how different attacks spread and evolve. So, summarizing, VT provides you context and the unique visibility on a malware campaign by exploring relationships and mapping out the entire threat campaign. You can take advantage of this intelligence by integrating this data into your existing threat intelligence infrastructures, enriching your data so you can get all the needed context to take a strategic decision. You can also use the advanced hunting in VirusTotal to proactively search for threats or suspicious activity that might affect your organization. Another very interesting use case is using VirusTotal to uncover and monitor phishing campaigns impersonating your organization or your brand, etc., etc. So today's webinar is oriented to financial and insurance industries, and we will help you answer questions such as what are the trends in the malware developers and where are they hidden? What are attackers using to target the financial services industries, the scope of those attacks, etc. We hope this webinar will give you more context and insights to help you protect your organizations. And thank you. I leave you now with Gerardo.
Thank you, Sara. Hi everyone, this is Gerardo Fernandez from the VirusTotal team. I'm going to be with you during the following minutes showing the results of our research on financial malware. This research is the result of combining both the VirusTotal database and OSINT IOCs, but considering only malware involved in financial attacks from January to April this year. Our first slide shows that March was a very active month due to the high number of submissions of RENCOS wrapped samples this month. Regarding malware families, here are the most submitted ones this year. RENCOS is the top one, but combining the last two columns of C-Loader shows that the real winner is C-Loader. There are the 7 families marked in the graph that are deployed as part of the Golden Chicken malware as a service. So let's talk a bit about these malware families. As seen before, we have detected a lot of raincoat samples, but raincoat itself is not a malicious software but a legit rat used by attackers to access compromised computers. And this is not new. This tool has been involved in malware activities since 2017. In this slide, you have a brief description of what role each family has in the overall Golden Chickens operative. TerraRecon is a reconnaissance tool used to look for specific hardware and software, like for instance USB keys, sign-in pads, and specific software. TerraStealer is an information stealer targeting various applications, such as email clients, web browsers, and file transfer utilities. Venom LNK is used to drive users to malicious rich text files that will exploit multiple vulnerabilities. TerraWiper is a master boot record wiper. TerraCrypt, on the other hand, is the ransomware component, also known as PureLocker. TerraTV is a custom DLL designed to hijack legit TeamViewer's applications. LightMoreX is a JavaScript loader that will launch other components, including the main module, the TerraLoader. These families are part of the Golden Chickens toolset, and they have been used by multiple threat actors, mainly in targeted attacks against the financial sector. Beyond Golden Chickens and Rencos, there are other malware families with a significant number of submissions this year. Grandor and Star Whale are backdoors that communicate via HTTPS using the Telegram bot API or by using Windows script files. Title Temple and Sorditor are the primary and secondary backdoors installed in compromised computers from a compromised FTP server, like Soho or NAS servers. Highlight Rat is an Android malware rat that impersonates the current chat application. Beyond submissions, we also create a rank of the most searched malware families in VirusTotal. In this listing, we can find 6 malware families attributed to the Lazarus group, 2 to Hidden Cobra and 1 to Epic Corp. According to this data and considering only financial malware, Lazarus samples are the most searched ones during this year. This is our top 10 rank of adversaries by number of submissions. Let's see the first 3 actors in our rank. Citadel is one of the most distributed banking Trojans malware nowadays, still active even when one of the main developers pled guilty to fraud in 2017. Lazarus takes second place in this rank. They have shown to be very active during 2020, targeting pharmaceutical companies and more recently the Swift transaction system and video games companies. Anunak, is also known as Carbanak, is the 3rd in our rank. This actor is very focused on performing attacks against the financial industry, retail industry, payment providers, and other related business areas. Let's see now how this rank changed when we consider lookups. In terms of lookups, the rank is sorted differently. Lazarus is the king now, and this is not a surprise since we saw before 6 malware families in the previous lookups rank. Elephant Beetle ranks up from 6th place to the 2nd one. UNC 2447 is listed now, probably due to its popularity since 2020, and Hidden Cobra follows in the rank, which is another contributor to the most looked up samples graph that we saw before. For getting our previous result, we used OSINT IOCs of specific malwares and actors involved in financial campaigns. In the second part of our research, we focus on recent samples, first since this year, that contain the string banker in any antivirus package. To reduce the noise in our dataset, we selected a subset of the antivirus engines available in VirusTotal, and filter out suspicious polymorphic samples. As you can see in the graph, since January, we have seen a slightly decrease in the number of submissions, being January the month we received the most submissions. Considering lookups, the graph changed a bit. February sums more searches containing the banker string, while March and April continue showing a decrease in the number of searched samples. This slide shows the top 10 domains used for distributing banking malware samples during this year. Malware here is included in attachment, located in URLs under some user space, also hosted in user subdomains or through redirects to other sites. For instance, many malware are stored as attachment in Discord, hosted in dark DNS subdomains controlled by customers, or compromising WordPress installation like some of the domains in our rank. This graph reveals what other sectors are also in the focus of financial cybercriminals. According to our research, the government sector is the top one collateral target in financial campaigns. Technology, which is a very broad area, is second, and the third is energy. Finally, let's see other topics to consider when dealing with financial malware. Windows is the first operating system targeted by attackers, being Android the second one, and JavaScript is mainly used to deploy payloads and launch other stages of an attack. If we look at the most recent vulnerabilities exploited by financial malware, we can find 5 vulnerabilities published last year that correspond to escalation privilege, authentication bypass, and remote code execution. Okay, demo time. Let's see now to a sample of how to improve our defenses by using various total services. As we saw in the slides, Rencos is one of the most used wrap software in financial campaigns. Let's try now to get a list of fresh IOCs involved in recent attacks using the Virus Total Intelligence Service. So we can perform a query like this. We are looking for samples that contain the Rencos rat string in one of the antivirus verdicts. We got more than 5,000 files. But let's focus now on those files that have been seen for the very first time this year. We can do it this way, adding the first scene modifier. We can also filter by those files that belongs to the Windows executable. And that also include an exploit. The commonalities panel show all the things that these samples have in common, like contacted URLs, domains, IP addresses, and etc. We're going to work with the URLs, domains, and IP addresses later in VTgraph. Just going to see all the commonalities that they have. So URLs, domains, IP addresses. Some of these samples also share the same bhash, so they belong to the same cluster. Some of them also share the import extension hash, the imp hash. This is quite interesting because some of these files are dropping the same files in the system. There are many Jira rules in common within these malware samples. Also embedded URLs, compilation timestamp. There are basically 4 groups, so compilation timestamp, entry point, Some of these files have a common PA entry point. And finally, 6 files are sharing the same signature copyright. Okay, let's bring all these samples to BTGraph. In BTGraph, we can see the infrastructure used in the campaign. For instance, we can add to our graph contacted domains, IP addresses, and URLs. Just let's use the left panel and click on the contacted relationships to pull these new observables into our graph. It's going to close the filtering window. Okay, let's select now all the files. And we need to keep pressing on the contacted domains, contacted URLs, and IP addresses to bring all the observables to our graph. Okay, this is what we got, but there's so much noise here because some observables are actually legit domains and URLs. Actually, we're only interested in those observables that are malicious. So let's use the filter panel, marking only those file types we're interested in and filtering out observables with less than 2 detections. Let's open the filtering window. Now let's select the file type, domain, IP address, and URL, all of them. And let's select only those files with 2 positives, 2 detections. So now we have a collection of all the malicious sites that are contacted by these samples. So this is it. Now we got a list of malicious files, domains, URLs, and IP addresses used in a campaign where Rencon RAS was also used. So now we can download all this information just right-clicking and selecting Download Nodes. First we select all the nodes and then right-clicking . So we can download all the IOCs. We can select files, domains, IP addresses, URLs, and depending on what we need. Now that we have this listing, we can use it to enforce our defenses. We have seen in the slides that another way to collect information about financial malware is to search for samples that contain the banker string in the verdicts. But before starting to look up for samples, please let me remind you that we have recently added collections. So we can start searching for collections that contain the banker string. Here we have a listing of the collection that contain the banker string. If we look at the first one, we can see that this collection, the reader collection, contains 11 domains and a lot of files, IPs, and URLs. We can also use digital intelligence to list 5 domains URL contained in one of these collections. So this is a listing of all the files included in that collection. We can also look for URLs, IP, and domains. IP addresses, somewhere else, and domain. We can also retrieve all this information using the API. So let's go back to the list of collections we saw before. We can also filter out by the owner of the collection. For instance, Malpedia. So now we have all the collections created by Malpedia that contain the banker string. Collections are also classified by targeted industry sectors. So we can just list collection linked to the financial sector. As you can see, there are plenty of things to explore here. Okay, by now let's go back to search for malware samples that contain the banker string. There are more than 80 million of files containing the banker string in one of the verdicts. So probably we are more interested in recent samples containing the banker string. So we can filter by the first seen date. We have reduced from 18 millions to nearly 5 millions of samples. Let's dig deeper now and look for Windows samples that contain any recent exploit. And now we have 144 files. But anyway, you see the listing, there are also compressed files here. At this point, we are not interested in those files, so we can filter them out. And we only got 8 files since January this year. These samples are quite interesting, and if we need to be notified when any sample with the same characteristic is uploaded to VirusTotal, we can use Lighthand. Lighthand allows us to create a rule written in the Java language to get a notification when any file uploaded to VirusTotal matches our rule. For instance, let's create a rule to detect the same samples we were looking for before. I'm going to use the BT module in Lighthand, so the first thing I have to do is to import that module. And then we can just start creating the rule. The name of the rule is banking exploits. So now we are going to write the conditions that will trigger the rule. The first condition is that the file must be new. Then we can create another condition to look for the banker string in the antivirus verdicts. So this is the second condition. Here we are exploring the verdicts to see if any one of them contains the banker string. The second condition is to look for samples that contains a recent exploit. That means that has been tagged with the CVE, with a recent CVE. And finally, we have to exclude any file that seems to be compressed. Okay, we got it. Now we can give a name to this rule. For instance, here at the right, we can write an email address to get a notification by email. Okay, this is all. Now we only need to save the rule and wait for notifications. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any question, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gerardo. We have here a couple of questions. The first one is, in some slides, we have seen two versions of the ranking, one for submissions and another one for lookups. Why are you using two different views?
Hi, hello. Okay, so we use submissions and lookups to get both sides of the story. Submissions bring light to all the files we receive, but not only from our users, also from the sample environments. On the other hand, lookups are observables that have been searched for by our users. So we have two graphs to answer different questions, depending on what you need.
Yeah, thank you. And another question is, have you considered ransomware attacks during the research?
Oh, yes. In fact, we released a ransomware report last year. Regarding this research, we are working on, we made some checks. 22 of the observables collected from OSINT are ransomware. And nearly 60% of the sample contained in the banker stream are related to ransomware. This is still present.
Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gerardo, and thank you for joining this webinar. I hope it was useful for you, and hope see you soon.
Thank you very much,
Thank
and
you.
happy hunting.
Bye-bye.